Welcome back to the Friday Five for August 18th, 2023. My name is Andrew Ayers. I'm an estate planning and business law attorney with offices in Edina, Minnesota, and New York City. And today we're going to take about 5 minutes and look at 5 quick questions that came up this week in conversations with prospective clients and clients. Question number 1 this week: am I out of luck if my business deal isn't in writing? So in this case, a prospective client called because he's been working with a business partner and they have certain agreements that they've had, but they never put anything in writing. And now the business partner, who had more experience in business, seems to be pushing him out of the business and keeping money from him. And the caller was worried because he thought he didn't have any rights and that he just had to give up and wasn't entitled to any money. And the fact is that normally when you're doing your business deals, you want them to be in writing. You want the clarity of a contract. You want the clarity of agreements. You want to make sure you know what you're getting, who's paying what, and what's going to happen. But even if you don't have it in writing, that doesn't mean you're not entitled to anything. So you should speak to a professional like a lawyer to see if we can help you sort out what's going on with your business. Question 2 this week: can I just download a lease off the web for my rental property? So the simple answer is yes, you can. But what you really should be asking is, should you download it? So in this case, a client owns a rental property and has been renting out to a tenant for a few years now. When they bought the property, they just downloaded a lease off of the web and they thought everything was fine. And they actually really haven't had any problems for the last couple of years. But they asked me to take a look at it. And of course, when I looked at it, it wasn't for the state where the property is located. So in this case, it's a rental property in the state of Connecticut, but the lease that they downloaded is for the state of Texas. So that can be a problem because the lease even says any disputes under this lease should be resolved in the state of Texas. If you're in Connecticut, you don't want to fly to Texas for a landlord-tenant matter. So you can download a lease off the web, but I don't recommend it. Once again, speak to a professional to make sure you're getting the right document for your rental property. Question 3 this week: do I have to sign a commercial lease or can I make changes? So if you're a business and you're renting space, and whether you're moving to a new space or maybe this is your first time renting space, that commercial lease can be very intimidating. They're not simply 2 or 3 pages long. They tend to be 40, 50, 60. I've seen leases that are hundreds of pages long. So if you're working with a broker, the broker will hopefully be able to give you some context for what's in that lease, but you also want to make sure you're speaking to a professional. Make sure you understand that lease before you sign it. Commercial leases are much more complex, and if you're a landlord, you definitely don't want to just download a commercial lease off the web like we dealt with in our last question, because you could really run into some problems with your tenants down the road. Question 4 this week: how long does my will need to be? And this is a pretty common question I get. The simple answer is there's no page requirement. It's not like being back in high school or college where the teacher says you have to write a paper of so many pages or so many words. So each person's will is different. It can be a different length. Even between attorneys, we all have different wills that we use. So the will that you would get from my office may be very different from the will you would get from an attorney down the hall in the same building I'm in. And that's just a matter of how attorneys draft their documents. So there's no requirement for how long the will has to be, but you want to make sure you have all the important terms in there. Especially if you have children under 18, we want to make sure things like guardianship and a trustee for their money are addressed. And question 5, can my trust take care of my special needs child and also own my business? The simple answer to this is yes, it can. That's the great upside to a trust, is it can do many different things. If you have a child with special needs, in this case, the prospective client has a child with special needs and has a business and some other estate planning goals that they want to take care of, and they want to do it all in one trust. And so you can do it in one trust. You can break it up into separate trusts. Oftentimes people will set up a standalone separate special needs trust. Other people will just include the special needs provision in their trust. And this is another place where it's going to be important to talk to that professional, work with an estate planning attorney to make sure you're getting the right trust for what you need. If you download just a trust off the web and you don't have the right provisions, you can defeat the whole purpose of the special needs trust, defeat the ability to inherit and pass on your business through the trust. There's a lot of things that can go wrong if you don't have the right trust document. So that's our 5 questions for the week. If you found this helpful, you can hit the like button, or you can hit the thumbs up below. You can subscribe to the channel on YouTube. There's going to be a link below for asking questions for future episodes. And you can always find out more information about me at andrewmayers.com. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back here next week.